Okay, so I'm going to get started if that's all right. Uh, so today, thank you everyone for having me here today. We are having a webinar on the Guardians of Creativity, Protecting Indigenous Art Through Copyright. So welcome, Bindigan. My name is Carole Long. I am a business advisor at the Northwestern Ontario Innovation Centre in Thunder Bay, Ontario. And my area of focus is intellectual property, which copyright falls under. It's one of the many ways that you can use protection for your ideas and your products. And copyright tends to be used mostly by artists. So just a few things before we get started here is if you can just mute your speaker so there's no background noise that's kind of distracting sometimes. You can ask any questions at any time. So if something pops into your head, just unmute yourself. You can interrupt me and I will do my best to answer that question. However, if you want, you can just put your questions in the chat and we can answer them at the end of the webinar as well. Or if you just want to ask me as well at the end, that's totally fine. And as part of this webinar, there will be a prize at the end. So using a spinning wheel, NADF will pick one of the registrants to win an Amazon e-gift card. So that's pretty exciting. Agenda. So let me just see here. It looks like there's chat. I'm not sure how to mute. Your mute button should be where the audio is. It looks like a microphone and you can just click on that. You might be muted already. Usually when you enter webinars, you tend to be muted right off the bat. So, but I don't hear any background noise, so we're all good so far. Got another little chat here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the agenda is what is a copyright, how to register your art, and protecting your art when you are hired or you are commissioned to do an art piece, and what happens with someone is using your art. We call it infringing, or it's lack of a better word, stealing your art. So what happens when you see that happening? So what is copyright? Copyright is the legal right that protects your art. It protects original art from you being used, copied, distributed, or even just being posted without your permission. Copyright automatically happens the second that you take that idea and you put it on a piece of paper or something tangible outside of your head. Once you do that, it's copyright because you're the artist, you're the original owner. And I'll talk more about that as well. The copyright protection, so there are time frames that anything under IP, that's intellectual property, has a time frame, and copyright has the longest time frame of protection. And that is throughout the full lifetime of the artist, the original artist, that is copyrighted throughout their whole life, and then 70 years after that person dies or the artist dies. So a lot of times, if in your lifetime you accumulate a lot of art, maybe you make money off your art, you make a living off your art, you want to pass that down to your children and your grandchildren, you can write that into your will and saying that they have the rights to all of your copyright. It usually will go to your state anyways, but it's just it's a good way to make it really clear so that they can protect your art when you are no longer here on Earth. Most countries as well, this is another unique thing with copyright. Most countries, not all, but most countries will respect the rights of copyright because it's the same in the States as well. I believe it's only for 50 years after that person, the artist, has died. So at least it protects you when your art is being used outside of Canada, but you just want to make sure just to double check that country. Say if it's in Europe or whatnot, Europe has many different countries, so maybe you want to make sure that your art is being protected there. You would hate for it to get into the wrong hands if it's in a different country. So what is considered original art? So original art is the expression of an idea in an artistic form, meaning written word, musicals, drama forms. And again, I'm going to repeat this probably quite a bit throughout this webinar. It is protected the second that you create that art, and when you put it on something fixed, so like a piece of paper, maybe it's on a music sheet, it's pictures, maybe you're a photographer and you're taking photographer photos, maybe you're making a file on your computer, then that's considered it's protected once you've done that. Once you've taken that idea outside of your head and you place it on something where other people can see what you've done, then that is considered original work and it is protected. Oops. So just give you some examples. Examples of artistic work. So that's paintings, photographs, maps, and sculptures. Examples of literacy work is books, brochures, flyers, computer software, programs. So even if you are making a flyer for a webinar. So today, NADF made flyers and posters to like on social media. So they created something. So that is art that they created. That is owned to NADF as well. So as soon as you create anything that you're taking your time, and it sounds like it's not a lot of effort, but it is effort when you're taking pictures and you're deciding where to put someone's face and deciding what words to use. So you're creating like a flyer or a poster. And I'll see this lots with music and art concerts and stuff. They hire people to do these wonderful posters. And in the 60s, if you have an original art poster from one of the famous, you know, music concerts that they had, it's lots of money it's worth now. Pam is, I'm just reading one of the questions in the chat. Pam is not into this. Oh, interesting. I will give you my email address, my email, and you guys, we can all talk later too, if it's more of a personal question that you have to ask, or if you want me to go in deeper, I will definitely give you my email address and we can connect too, because it's gets into specifics sometimes, and this is just a very general workshop, so we can definitely get into it through email or even a phone call, or I can even set up a Teams meeting or whatever is best suited for you. So musical work includes any work. It could be written with music, with words, without words. It could be in a sheet music. It could be sounds as well. Let me see here. Okay, yeah, I will put my email here, right? I will put my email right in here, right in the chat. So it will pop up if you want to save it, and you can give me, just making sure I spelled everything right. There you go. Okay, and dramatic work. So films, plays, scripts, TV shows, anything like that. That's all part of dramatic work. So you can see how copyright isn't just, artwork and whatnot. It's a lot of things that fall under that category of copyright. So why would you even bother? A lot of people don't realize the value that copyright has, and its value of monetary, so money. A lot of artists can actually make a living off of their art, and that happens when there's lots of licensing. So I'm going to give an example. I have a client here in Thunder Bay. She owns what's called Tea Horse Tea, and David's Tea, which is a large company. They use her recipe, so they license her recipe to use on a brand for their product, and they hire an artist to do the artwork. So this is the tea. So David's Tea, and you will see like this is the artwork. It's my client did not create this. David's Tea licensed another artist to do this, and then she has the artist's name is on the back. And it also has her contact information. So that might have been something where the artist said, as part of this licensing agreement, not only do I get to have all the money from all of the tea canisters, but I also want my name and my email address and my website to be on the canisters as well. So that's very valuable, of course, to have that. Cultural value, of course, copyright maintains control over the cultural meaning and significance of an Indigenous art. And I can think of, say you were commissioned to do this beautiful mural outside of an organization, and you in this organization have similar values, you believe in them, they hire you, you paint this beautiful mural on the side of a building. And 5 years goes by and the organization closes, or maybe they move to a new location and someone else comes in, another business comes into that space, and this business does not align with your values or whatever it may be, but now your artwork is sitting outside of that business, so it looks like your artwork is part of that business. So when you go into these contracts, you want to make sure that you outline that, you know, you're only doing it for that one organization. If they leave, they have to remove your art as well. And then maintaining honor, you can prevent misuse or inappropriate use of your work as well. So here are the steps to protect your art. So first of all, you got to create the art. You have to put that on the physical piece of paper or in a file in your computer, any way that you can actually. I'm just going to go back to the chat here. As a student has created drama. So when you're talking about a student, so this is an interesting situation, and I understand that. So when you're a student, it actually is owned by the school. So the school is it has created that space, maybe provided the tools, maybe provided the lessons. So what is created inside of a school usually is that school. And I will give you examples of the universities and the colleges. I have a lot of clients that are working on prototyping a product. And so the university keeps the IP, meaning it keeps the intellectual property or the copyright, whereas the college, we have an agreement with the college that the college allows the artist to keep that. So when you're a student, you're not really thinking about that, but as you get it into business, you would want to make sure that you get to keep your art. However, if there was no contracts, just an open workshop. So it's just an open workshop. What you created is your drum. You can go home and make more drums. That's okay. It's pretty hard to say what is different unless you paint something on there. Maybe you use a different method that is different from everyone else. But if you're using the same skills of everyone to create the same thing, that it's pretty hard to see what is different or what is original about that. It's like there's an argument to say with taking pictures. So if I was to take a picture of the sleeping giant, that doesn't mean no one else can take a picture of the sleeping giant. Everyone can take a picture of the sleeping giant, but maybe I just have a way about it. Maybe my artistic flair really shows, or maybe I know how to capture the light and that's what makes it special. So maybe I make more money off of it. Now, no one can take that photograph and actually make t-shirts or something out of it. That wouldn't work. But when you're creating something in a group, or you're using skills that are knowledge, like everyone knows how to, or you're taking a workshop and you're all learning how, that drum it doesn't really apply with copyright. I believe this is being recorded, just so you know. And I did share my, oh, sorry, I think you're right, thank you. I shared my email, but I shared it in a private message, so I will do it again. Okay. So continuing on. Now, to mark your work and show people that you are taking the extra steps and you are using the copyright protection to protect your work, you're going to mark your work. You're going to mark your work with the letter C with a circle around it. Any Microsoft programming or any printing, usually under symbols, you will find that. So it's not, you don't have to try to figure out how to do that. It should be in whatever programming that you're using, or if you're printing off little business cards or a flyer, you should be able to use it. Even in Canva, they will have the C. It's available, so just look for it. So you're going to mark it with a C and then a comma, your name, and the year you created this art. Now, when I talk about that, one of the things that a lot of artists come back to me is like, they don't want to do that on their beautiful oil paint or maybe their watercolors. That you don't have to put it on the front of it. You can use like a business card. Maybe it has a description of the title of the painting, whatever else, maybe your email address, contact address, but you're going to have that C with the comma, your name, and the year. Any flyers or any music, you can just put it at the bottom of what you've typed and whatnot. And that's just to show everyone that you are understanding that this is original art. This is something that you created. So step 3, you're going to decide whether to register that. And we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about it more in detail. So there's a second step if you want to take it a little bit further than just you logging your own recordings of your art. Step 4, you're going to use contracts for commissioned works, and I'll show you a little bit of an example of what to put in the contracts and what wording to use. And monitored for unauthorized use. Now, this is something that is unfortunate that we do have to do as artists or people that are creators, inventors. You always have to be searching the internet to see if someone is stealing your art. And then you have to take action as well. That's the last step there. If you see someone's using your art and you don't do anything about it, after so much time goes by, you might not be able to get any money back. You might not be able to ask them to stop. It might now just be common, knowledge or common use that it's now in the public for so long and no one claimed it. So you just want to make sure that you're always making sure that your art is not being used. And once it is being used, that you're sending out a letter. And I will definitely show that in this slides as well. So when should you register your art? So it gives you a little bit of a benefit when you register it. And the reason why is the government has a log of all copywritten works under this register. And it shows like the date, it has you, it's a name, you're the owner. It tells what type of copyright it is, whether it's a music piece, a play, a piece of art. And it's just better if you were to say if you did a large work or you're a very, very successful artist and you're in a lot of art galleries across Canada, maybe this is where you want to register those pieces that are very high publicized, and just to ensure that it's very easy to prove. You don't have to go through your files. It's right in the government document. So that's when I suggest as a time to register your art. Now, if you're an artist and you have a lot of artwork, it will get really expensive. So I'm just going to go right here. Oh, wait, I'll get really expensive. It's about $63, I believe, to register one piece of art. So typically you wouldn't register every time. It's just those high profile art pieces that you want to protect. And it's also good too to sometimes if you're creating art for other people, or maybe you're exposed to a lot of other artists and you are developing something, maybe you want to look to see if your art is infringing, meaning that your art is similar to other people's art. And this link will work when you get my slides as well. And because it's, how can you memorize that and write that down right now? So don't bother. But what it's called is Global Brand Database, and it's just been introduced, I want to say this year. It's a really new tool. And what it does is allows you to upload your artwork, your logos, whatever you want, and you get to search the whole globe. Most countries are in this, but you can just filter to Canada or US if you want. And I'm just going to show you an example. So I took NADF's logo and I popped it in, and this is just one page. There was 500 and some results that came out. And if you can see, like, there's no exact matches, but some of them might seem similar. So I would say that NADF is okay. It's good to go. You're not infringing on anyone else's logo. So that's an interesting thing to do. And the copyright isn't straightforward either to prove whether someone is infringing on your work or not. And I'll give you an example of a case that just happened here in Thunder Bay. There was a store in our mall that was using old logos of high schools that are no longer, like, they've closed down years and years ago. So a couple high schools in Thunder Bay have closed down, no longer using the name. The woman that owns the store, she just took a logo. So one of them was a tiger, and she just went on Google and said image of a tiger, pulled that image off and put it on there on a t-shirt with the high school's name on it. And it wasn't the same tiger as the high school logo. The school's been closed forever, but someone created that art, so it's still protected. And the school board went after her and sent her a cease and desist. She decided she didn't want to. She felt like her art was different enough. So they took it to the next level. The copyright courts found that the confusion is what the problem is. So even though she used a different lion, she still used the word Westgate. That was the high school's name. She didn't put anything about high school. She just used Westgate. So she didn't use Westgate High School. So she felt like she was okay. But the copyright courts felt that she was infringing on the Lakehead School Board because of the idea is very confusing, or the images confuse people. She knew what she was doing, basically. So she was asked to pay back $25,000. So we're just running a little short on time, so I'm just going to speed this up a little bit, and maybe I'm going to save your questions to the end here. You can also search Canada's database. So copyright, you just Google Canada copyright, you will find the page. These are the things that you would need to know if you're specifically searching for an artist. So maybe you found an artist online and you can tell like their art is very similar. Maybe you want to go see if they registered anything or whatnot, just to check to make sure that your art is not being used. And how to register. So like I said, you're going to choose whether your artwork is a performance, a sound, a piece of art. You're going to have a title for it. You would probably pick the artistic category. Has the art been published? So this is an interesting question. What that means, has it ever been viewed by public? So that could even be, have you put your art on your Facebook page? Do you take pictures and put it on your Instagram page? That's considered it's public. Anytime the public has access to see your art, that has been published. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, you're just being honest and saying, like, yeah, it's been in the public eye for some time. Your name, your art, who you are, the author. You want to declare that you are the author of this art as well. So $63 if you want to register. CIPO is a Canadian Intellectual Property Office. You can just say Canada Copyright and it will bring you to that page as well. And then who owns the art when you're hired? So general rule is when someone creates your art, they may think they own that art. So you really want to make that clear to them. So in the case of logos, so I'm going to give you, like, here's one of my other clients' logo for pet toy. They got that logo created and they made sure that they were going to be the owners of that logo, because even though they were not the artist, they paid for that artist to create that logo that they inspired them. So that's just the way it works out. So, but you really want to be clear with that, and you want to really specify in the contract like how that art can be used as well. If it's something like, we'll go back to the mural on the side of that organization. Now, say the organization does a fundraiser, so they start taking pictures and printing it on t-shirts to sell. Well, you didn't say they can start making money off of your art. You were just making a mural. So you really want to be clear on how that art is used. And this is where you would say something like, when you move or you leave this location, you have to pay for me to come and repaint the art, like take it off the wall. Or you might say, if someone graffitis my art, could you imagine if someone deframes your art on the outside? You want to make sure that there's a rule in the contract saying that they have to contact you to refurbish that art, and they pay for it. So you really want to make sure that's clear in the contract. So again, your art automatically protected. You want to make sure you use that C symbol, comma, your name, comma, the year. And that shows that you have exclusive rights to it. No one else does. Again, I'm repeating because it's very important to mark your work. Keeping detailed records is very important. So possibly, go home tonight, try to log all your art in some document, maybe an Excel document, try to name them, maybe take a picture of them. That'd be great. And then just the dates of when you did it. You don't have to do the month. If you want to do the month, that's fine. But just the year, and keep that detailed somewhere, and make, again, let your friends, let your family know that too, where it is, just in case, years from now you leave this earth, and you want to make sure that they have a copy of that. And you want to make sure you monitor use of work online, making sure that no one else is using your art, because that happens quite a bit. A lot of times companies will use art, especially from Indigenous artists right now. They'll copy it and take it, and you want to make sure that you're on top of that. So this is just an example of something that you can use to make sure that the artwork is not being redistributed. They cannot reproduce it. They cannot use it for commercial purpose without your permission. So example of another contract, you want to be clear of who that ownership is, how they get to use it. So the limited uses rights, like you can outline it however you want. You can even say you get to use this art on the canister, like David's tea. You get to use this for 1 year, and that's it. And after this, you can no longer sell my artwork. You have to repay me or something like that, or I have to redo the art. You can do whatever you want. It is your art. So what happens if someone stole your art? What happens if someone is using your art? So you want to contact them right away with a cease and assist letter. And I have a copy of one as well. And when you guys get this PowerPoint, you can copy and paste it and use it. I always tell my artists to keep a copy already filled out with their information, so they can just plug in the infringer's information and send that off. Take legal action if necessary. And then, of course, because of your records, you're going to show, and hopefully that will stop. Most people will stop right away. A lot of people use social media just to say, like, hey, my art is being stolen by this big company. And that tends to make the company stop as well. Here is the example of the cease and desist notice as well. So you can take that and use that. This is something that is part of our Canadian law, so you can use that. And then being confident, copyright is a very powerful tool. It is your art. It is your cultural heritage. It is who you are. You can protect that. And just like I said, start logging it, start creating those files with all of your artwork. And so hopefully that will ensure that it will be used respectfully in the future. Okay, so 1 minute here and I'll get to the questions. I don't mind going a little bit further, but maybe what I'll do is I'll let NADF, if you want to do the spin so everyone can see that, and then I can stay on for a few minutes and answer any questions that anyone might have, if that's all right. Maybe it's in the chat. Okay, here we go. We got the wheel up here. Very cool wheel. Ivanka, yay! Very exciting. Okay, let me get to the chat here then. Let me see here. Would collective marks, certification marks, GI be helpful for Indigenous artists? Collective marks, certification marks. I'm not too sure what you mean by certification marks. Are you talking, like, maybe if Kyle, if you want to unmute yourself and just maybe describe that question a little bit more? Because once yeah, is this Kyle? Perfect.
Hello, yeah, just
Hi.
In the discussion of collective marks, certification marks, and geographical indicators, I found that there are different groups around the world that are applying these tools. Now, I've seen more precedent in collective marks and geographical indicators. So I'm just curious, in the world of either of these, particularly under the branch of trademarks, which you might find to be most helpful for an Indigenous artist collective.
I am not familiar with any of this way of protecting it. It's not it's it's not the way the copyright, like the Canadian intellectual property advises to protect your art. Maybe it's something that, so I'm thinking that this is something along this, I'm just going to use an example to see if I'm on the right track. If it's you can buy verification that you're a woman-owned business. So you pay an organization that verifies that you are an actual woman-owned business, and now you get to use your sticker. So yeah, like that could be a way of a collective mark in a way to protect your art or recognize your art, but it's something that you probably have to pay for to do. I don't know if it's a free, maybe it's a nonprofit that's doing that, but that symbol of a C, comma, your name, comma, the date, that's all you need in legalities in Canada. You don't need anything more. Like if it's better to register it so it's tracked by the government and in the government's files. But if you have a good order of record keeping and you can establish that this was the year that you took it, or and I'm sure like in your computer too, it knows exactly when you typed it. You can't really fake a lot of these things anymore in life. So hopefully, Kyle, I hope that answers your question. Um, I would look into that collective mark and who is like distributing it, who's allocating, who's giving out that mark. Do you have to pay them for it? And who's to say maybe in 20 years they're not going to be around anymore and no one's going to know what that mark means, but the copyright will be around. It's a government issued designation. So hopefully, does that answer your question? I hope so. Do you have to be registered business to register your art? No, you do not. You do not have to be. You just register your art as an artist. Do you have to be a registered business to copyright? No, you do not. You do not. And because in Canada, you do not have to register your business if you earn under $30,000. The second that you've earned more than that within a year, then you do have to register your business. So if you're just an artist and you're starting off, or maybe you're doing a few commission works, you're getting paid under that 30 grand, you don't, but you want to register your copyright, you do not have to register your business. And the second that you create that art, it's protected. So you do not have to have a business. Yes, the $63 is per piece of art. So that's an interesting one. That's why I said that it could be very expensive for Indigenous artists when you're trying to do all of your artwork. It really wouldn't make sense. But if you are maybe someone maybe like this woman, this artist that created this, because it's going national all across Canada, that she wants to make sure that there is a registered for that particular art. And it might be something where she asked David's Tea to pay for the registration. You can ask that too. You can say like, because this is being brought out national, I want my art actually on the government file to say that it's mine. So can you pay that $63? Anyone art tag? Yeah, Kyle, I would look into those art tags or that collective, because I wonder who is offering, like it's, in order to create that, there's people there, they probably are getting paid. How are they getting paid? Do you have to pay for that tag? It's up to you. It's up to you if you see the value in it. It's almost like a co-op. It feels like it's like when people get together and they create something so that they can be more identified across Canada. I have not seen that in my area, but it could be something that's in the future will become more popular. Okay, my email address, sorry. So it's Carole, it's Carole at NWO Innovation. So it's Innovation. I'm INNOVATION.ca. You can even just Google Innovation Center, Thunder Bay, and you will see me. What's the difference between, so copyright is for the art itself. Trademark can be sounds, could be symbols. Trademark can be logo name, brand names. It's more of a name. So trademarks are different from copyright. Copyright is more of the artistic one. Trademarks are identifying a brand. So if you are, say if you're making a logo for someone, that person, they may go and trademark that logo to identify it with that brand. That might be a process that happens. So first, you create the art, you have that copyright, and then all of a sudden someone says, I really like that. Can I use it for my logo? And you sell it to them and they get to use it for their logo. And now they want to trademark it so that it's related to their business. I'm gonna post my email one more. So Carole, Carole at NWOINNOVATION at or .ca. So I just post it one more time. I thought I've seen it somewhere that it's cheaper to register your art before you publish it anywhere. I've not heard of that. Your art is copyright protected the second you create it, and if you just want it on the government registry, you would have to pay. Something like a trademark, they tend to want you to do before the year, before it's public. So it might be harder to say if someone's registered their trademark and their copyright, and it's very similar, and you just waited 20 years to register it because now all of a sudden you've decided you're going to print it and start selling it or something like that. Maybe that's where the difficulty is, but it's if you're really going to make a living out of one or two pieces of art, or if someone's hired you, I would register it. Other than that, you are okay with keeping your own copyright files, just as long as you're always looking online to see if anyone has ever used your markings. If a company who is a wholesaler is still working with it, you're going over who made that order. So if it's a wholesaler that is just printing off a bunch of products to hopefully to sell to a bunch of resellers, then it's the wholesaler. If the reseller went to them and said, can you make me a bunch of mugs with this item, then it's the resale. I'm going to actually share my screen again if you guys don't mind. I'm going to show you an example of something really similar to that. Where is... I'm gonna go entire screen here. Sorry, guys, just gonna stop this here. Get this first. I have to pull it up first. I'm gonna show you it's LuLaRoo. I don't know if you've ever heard of this LuLaRoo before. It is a multimedia marketing, a multi-level marketing company. So they almost like a Pampered Chef or an Amway. And so what they did was that they had their artists go and they had to find 400 art prints a day to put on these leggings. And what they did was they ended up stealing everything. So they would go on Instagram and they would look at everyone's art and go into Photoshop and change one or two things about it. And then they would start printing off of it. So I'm going to show you right here so this is one of the artists. So this is her Instagram page. Right here, this is her art to the left. This is what LuLaRoo stole from her. So kind of different, but not really. All they did was they changed the color of the outline and made it more pastel-y. However, she had a watermark on her art with her name on it, and they didn't even take it off, like it's on the leggings. So she went and she put it into Photoshop, and she said it took her like sometimes people say if you change the image at least 3 different ways, then it's your idea. No, it's not. Like, it's it's pretty lousy thing to do. But if you're trying to confuse people, or you're stealing someone's art, they can prove it. So maybe she posted it and like a week later she saw LuLaRoe take it. Another artist, this was their lion. LuLaRoe just basically took the eye color out and tilted the head of the lion and put it all over the pants. So terrible. This is the artist with the color. LuLaRoe just took the color out and stole it and put it on leggings. And these probably look similar, right? They look like similar leggings. So what was interesting about it is all of these artists put cease and desist letters and then got their lawyers, and they all got paid out a settlement. So they didn't even get to court because they knew that they're doing it. Anyways, I think that is it for me. I will feel like I have at NWO innovation. Sorry, I'm just typing my email to someone else as well. How does copyright images from ancestors like language word? So language word might not be something that's copywritten. If it's something that's called common law, it's a way that we use to communicate, or something that we recognize, like a symbol or something like that, like a stop sign or whatever it may be. That might not be something that could be protected. But if that ancestor actually made a piece of art, like something on a piece of paper, maybe music, maybe drumming, instructions or music sheets, that would be something that would be copywritten. If it's possible for an artist who says you can use my art only for person. So hopefully I answered that anonymous attendee, that if it's possible for an artist who says that you can use my art only for personal, not for profit, how would you go about? So hopefully you can use that guidelines in this workshop, copy and paste my words and use it, and just say you are not allowed to use this for any commercial reasons whatsoever. You can never prevent. You can, like, by preventing someone is by putting your copyright on there and by making a contract saying they cannot. That's as best as you can do it. But people are people. There are some bad players in the world that even if they sign these documents, they could still decide, you know what, forget them, I'm still going to steal their art. And then it's up to you to send out that cease assist letter. And if they don't, then it's up to you to go get a lawyer. And usually lawyers in cases like this, they won't charge you until you get paid out. So hopefully that's the way that you go about doing it. Can you copyright photography? Yes, you can. The second you take that picture is copyright. It is yours. If you want to sell it, you can put your C, comma, your name and the date that you took that picture, and you can sell it like that for sure. It's your art. Okay, that looks like I answered. Oh, we got two more in the chat. Can you please? I've sent them to Karen Bird, but I will definitely let her know that you guys would like a copy of it. And I hope this was a very useful PowerPoint. Miigwech to you too. I thank you guys very much. I really hope that you got a lot of information. I'm sorry you had to speed up at the end there. I just didn't want to miss anything. And I hope that you guys continue creating beautiful art and protecting it. It's yours, so don't let anyone steal it or take it. And feel free to reach out to me. And if not me, I'm in Thunder Bay, but say if you're in Timmins or Sault Ste. Marie or any of those areas around there, there are active or regional innovation centers that can support you, as well as NADF as well can get a hold of me and reach out to me, and I can help you. So good luck and take care. Miigwech.